Alright guys, my name is Goblin, and today I am going to be giving you a Holy Paladin leveling guide for Classic World of Warcraft. So you might be thinking, why the hell would you level in Holy when you can just level in Ret? That is generally considered the most optimal and efficient spec. In my opinion, I think different builds only contribute to about 5% difference. I would say like the Retribution build is probably only 5% more efficient than this Holy build. But then at the end of the day, most people just play Retribution. Most people don't play Holy, so it's extremely less tested and less theory crafted. At the end of the day, who cares about getting to level 60 as fast as possible? I mean, the leveling experience is a big part of the game, and it's going to take people ages to get to level 60 anyway. So, and it might be some of you out there who've leveled as Ret quite a few times and you're just simply a bit bored of it. I'm with you on that one. I've done vanilla leveling quite a lot. So going for like a 5% less optimal build for the sake of it being a little bit more interesting and a bit different, I think is, it's worth it. At the end of the day, I think this build has a lot of good strengths. I think it's a lot more efficient than a typical Retribution build, and because it's more efficient, you're probably going to be able to burn mana a little bit more, which might mean that the DPS is fairly equal. But again, it needs a lot of testing, and this is a very niche build that not a lot of people have played in. But I do think it's basically equally strong if you're playing it effectively. Another bonus is obviously being able to heal dungeons slightly better. So let me talk you through the build. The key two talents here are both Illumination and Divine Favour. So let's read Divine Favour. When activated, it gives your next Flash of Light, Holy Light or Holy Shock 100% critical effect chance. So basically you pop this, it gives you a permanent buff. Your next healing spell is a guaranteed crit. Okay, let's look at the Illumination talent. If you stack this out to max, basically after getting a critical effect from your Flash of Light, any healing spell basically, you get 100% of that mana spent on the healing spell returned to the player. So it's basically a free heal, it doesn't cost any mana at all. And you can obviously use this as free heal on a 2-minute cooldown. This means, when you're chain pulling enemies out in the open world, every 2 minutes you're going to get an entirely free heal, which is massively mana efficient. Another great talent in the Holy Tree is Spiritual Focus, which basically means you have a 70% chance to avoid cast interruption when you're casting any healing spell, and you can combine that with Concentration Aura to basically get 100% reduction to your cast interrupts. So it's just much easier to hard cast your spells when you're getting whacked in the face, which happens a lot obviously when you're leveling. So overall this build becomes much tankier, and the survivability of the build is much stronger than a Ret build, and your efficiency is further magnified by improved Blessing of Wisdom. You can get an enhanced 20% extra effect from Blessing of Wisdom, so that means even more mana regeneration. So let me talk you through the build. The first thing you want to spec into is Divine Strength, another kind of weird talent in the Holy Tree, just a flat out damage increase, which is really nice. Then I'll go into Spiritual Focus because it's one of the most useful talents here. Then I'll get the magnified improvement to improve Seal of Righteousness. Then from here, you may want to go Consecration and Healing Light. You can. I just feel like Consecration is very mana inefficient. It's more suited for a Protection Paladin build, which I will also be featuring in a future video. Personally, I think this is more of a single target build. It's an enhanced single target build, but more efficient than a Ret build. That's the whole focus of this build. That's why I just wouldn't personally go for Consecration. I might go for it in the later levels, but yeah, because you're going to need a shield, and you're going to need stuff like Holy Shield to really make the AoE farming tactic efficient. So yeah, again, I'll feature that in the Protection Paladin video. From here, max out Illumination and get Divine Favour as soon as possible for that very efficient heal on a 2-minute cooldown. You can use it obviously with your highest ranked Holy Light, which provides a ridiculous amount of healing. Sometimes it's about a third of your whole health pool, sometimes it's even half, depending on what level you are. From here, improve Blessing of Wisdom for obvious reasons. And then from here, you probably want to start specking into Divine Intellect. Again, you can mess about with Consecration and Healing Light if you want to, but I just find when you're stacking a lot more enchanted gear at this point, level 32, you're probably going to have a wad of intellect gear, so the 10% bonus from this is going to be further enhanced by the fact you have more intellect gear. You will be wanting to stack, by the way, strength and intellect gear with this build, and not agility. I just recommend strength and intellect. The reason why I recommend intellect over spirit is just to enhance the critical strike chance, because obviously when you crit with your healing spells, you get 100% of that mana refunded, and that could be very useful at saving mana and being efficient. So as soon as you get 2 points in there, you can go into Holy Power, which, you know, just a little cheeky 5% crit buff to all your healing spells again. And then you're going to go for Holy Shock. Now Holy Shock, I wouldn't obviously use this, I wouldn't really use it on cooldown as a DPS ability. I mean, you can, it's a good execute ability, but you know, I do prefer to front load my damage and have a little bit of my combat phase when I'm getting the, you know, the 5-second rule bonus to mana regeneration. I basically stop using my spells at about when the mob is about 50% health. So I mean, you can front load your damage with Holy Shock, and you know, you do get kills quite efficiently, but the mana cost is quite severe. I mean, if I have a quick look at how much mana it actually costs, you know, it isn't the most mana efficient ability in the world. It's not horrendously bad. I mean, it's about double of Flash of Light, so it's not that bad, but I do prefer to save it for more emergency situations where indeed I need that instant heal, because having an instant heal in a, you know, in a tight spot when you're, you know, you have overpulled enemies, you're taking down a Murloc camp, you're accidentally taking down 2 enemies at once, you know, that's a sticky situation. Holy Shock is going to get you out of that situation pretty good. So my point is, I prioritise Holy Shock as a heal ability rather than a damage ability. So from here I'm just going to max out Divine Intellect, because, you know, just that enhanced mana pool and enhanced crit chance, you cannot complain. From here I'm going to get Benediction instead of Improved Blessing of Might. I do prefer to play this build in entirely Blessing of Wisdom, and then I want to further increase that mana efficiency with Benediction. And from here, Improved Judgment. You will be using Improved Seal of a Crusader into a Judgment, and then probably keeping Improved Seal of Righteousness active. We'll talk about that a little bit in the next part of this video. And then from here, I don't really like, you can go for Seal of Command, I mean, but I don't go for it because it just kind of ruins the value of Improved Seal of Righteousness. You know, you may as well not have 5 points in this talent tree, and I don't really want to respec because that enhances the mana, sorry, the gold cost of respecking, and you know, in the later game you're probably going to regret that if you're respecking quite a lot. So that's why I just wouldn't, unless you do want to respec, unless you're not bothered about the money, you know, you can do that. But yeah, I just prefer to go for Pursuit of Justice for the enhanced mounted speed and movement speed in caves and stuff like that. It's a really useful talent. From here I get 3 points in Conviction just for the enhanced crit chance, and I just finish off with Retribution Aura. You can go finish out Conviction, doesn't really matter at this point because you're going to be respecking anyway. But to be honest, I mean, you could probably heal some dungeon in this build without respecking, but anyway, that is the Holy Paladin leveling build. So I'm going to briefly talk about the rotation. In my previous Paladin leveling guide, a lot of people criticise the use of Seal of a Crusader, but you know, I've talked with Paladin experts about this. It is the best way to increase your single target damage if you just pop a cheeky Seal of a Crusader on the target before you use any other seals. At the end of the day, you do not have to spam the rotation, you know, because it will be very mana inefficient. You know, it's up to you to decide whether you want to spam the rotation or not, you know, if you have the mana to spare or if you don't. But normally you're going to, you know, buff Seal of a Crusader, you're going to unleash the seal, sorry, wrong keybind, and then, you know, you unleash it, and then you're just going to statically have Seal of Righteousness active, and this is pretty much the rotation, you know, 90% of the time. You get the debuff from Seal of a Crusader on the target, and then you just let the Seal of Righteousness do its damage. I mean, if you have the mana to spare, you can start spamming Judgment, you know, more often. If you have the mana to spare, you can, you know, just do it because it's going to be a damage increase. And then when it comes to Holy Shock, it is a bit of a mana burn, you know, compared to something like Judgment. 325 mana compared to like 76 mana, it is quite mana consuming, but you know, nonetheless it is quite useful. And if you're going to use it, I would front load it into your, you know, into your opener. You can even pull with it. You know, it is a, what's the actual range? It's a 20 yard range ability, so you can start to use it effectively as a ranged ability, which is one of the, you know, big downsides of playing a Paladin, is you having to body pull over time. If you look at the range on Judgment, what is this, 10 yards? Yeah, so it's double the range of Judgment, and it can be very useful at pulling mob packs and, you know, not getting swarmed by enemies. So, you know, you can pull with the Holy Shock, and then let the enemy come to you, and then, you know, pop Seal of Crusader, debuff him, and then just keep Seal of Righteousness active. And this is going to be the rotation, you know, 90% of the time. Just an important note, when it comes to taking down mob packs, you know, murlocs and gnolls and all that kind of thing, probably gonna use Seal of Justice before the enemy dies, as if you look at the Unleash Seal effect, it will stop the enemy from fleeing, so it will stop them from running away. You know, just something to bear in mind, because obviously when enemies start getting feared and start running into other enemies and overpulling, it can be a nasty sticky situation to get in. And obviously, because this build is more mana efficient, you know, with the enhanced Blessing of Wisdom, you can also start messing around with Seal of Wisdom as well when you're against undead targets, because you can start prioritizing Exorcism and Holy Wrath into your rotation when you're taking down undead enemies. You know, you're leveling in Western Plague Lands, Eastern Plague Lands. You can start generating more mana with you know, Seal of Wisdom and all this kind of thing, but then burn your mana more with undead specific damaging abilities. So you can start using Holy Shock and Exorcism and stuff like that. You know, if you have the mana to do it. But obviously this build is more mana efficient, so you should be able to burn your mana a little bit more, which it could mean that you actually end up doing more damage as a Retribution build. But nonetheless, you know, I think the difference between Retribution build versus Holy build, it's probably only going to be about 5% efficiency difference. However, when it comes to Protection Paladin, I think if you are, you know, I think there's a higher skill cap to the Protection Paladin, and when you reach that high skill ceiling, you probably are going to start leveling more efficiently than Retribution Paladin. But nonetheless, I am going to look into that more, because if you think about it, you know, the most efficient level in the game is a mage, right? You know, when you're doing Blizzard AoE farming and all that kind of stuff, you can spec the Paladin into a build that does AoE farming quite efficiently, and I think it will start to become a more efficient build than Holy and Retribution combined, really. But again, you know, it's not very well tested, it's not very well theory crafted, so obviously I needed to kind of do the work on that, and you know, like I have done with this video. And that's pretty much where I'm going to end the video there. You know, this is a totally kind of spontaneous video for me to make. I was thinking, you know, I'm making all these unusual build videos which are more tailored towards in-game content. I thought I'd start making unusual alternative leveling builds as well. You know, I've got Melee Hunter planned as well, and a few other things as well. So anyway, that's where I'm going to end the video. My name is Goblin. Until my next video, ciao.